Welcome to this comprehensive video on phrasal verbs. In today's lesson, we'll explore 5 commonly used phrasal verbs in English: back down, blow up, break down, bring up, and bump into. You may have seen these phrases in our short videos, but in this longer video, we'll dive deeper into their meanings, share additional examples, and give you tips on how to use them in everyday conversation. At the end, we've included an exercise to help you apply what you've learned. Let's get started. Let's talk about the phrasal verb back down. Basically, you back down when you decide to stop doing something or admit you were wrong, especially if other people are challenging you. It can also mean stepping away from a promise or position you once took. Back down is often used in debates, confrontations, or negotiations. It usually means someone has decided to give in or step back. Let's check some example sentences. The company planned to cut salaries, but they backed down after employees protested. After a long argument, she finally backed down and admitted she was wrong. He initially insisted he was right, but when presented with evidence, he had to back down. She agreed to testify in court, but under pressure, she backed down. They were ready to go on strike, but the management made an offer, so the workers backed down. He promised to support the project, but at the last minute, he backed down. This phrasal verb is frequently used in discussions about compromise or conceding in arguments. Now let's talk about our second phrasal verb, blow up. This one has a few different meanings. It can mean something explodes, either literally or in a big dramatic way. It's also used when someone loses their temper and gets really angry. And finally, blow up can mean enlarging a photo or document to make it bigger. While commonly associated with anger and explosions, blow up can also mean to become successful or go viral, such as in, the video blew up overnight on social media. Let's check some example sentences. The gas leak caused the house to blow up unexpectedly. His small mistake blew up into a major scandal. The argument blew up into a heated confrontation. She blew up when she found out her brother had taken her car without permission. My boss blew up at me for being late to the meeting. He tries to stay calm, but when someone lies to him, he blows up instantly. They blew up the old family photo and framed it for the living room. The detective blew up the image to get a closer look at the suspect's face. We need to blow up the text on this document to make it more readable. Context will guide whether blow up refers to emotions, physical events, or growth in popularity. Now let's move on to our third phrasal verb, break down. This phrasal verb has several meanings. It can refer to a machine that stops working or malfunctions. It's also used when we analyze something by breaking it into smaller parts. Additionally, break down can describe someone losing emotional control, often due to stress or sadness. Lastly, It can mean that negotiations or discussions fail and come to an end. This phrasal verb is quite versatile and can be applied to emotional, mechanical, or social contexts. Let's check some example sentences. The elevator broke down and we had to take the stairs. The washing machine broke down right before I planned to do my laundry. Our internet broke down during the video call and we had to reschedule the meeting. Let's break down this problem into smaller steps to find a solution. The teacher broke down the complex theory into simple concepts for the students. In the report, we broke down the company's expenses into different categories. I tried to stay strong, but I broke down when I saw my childhood home being demolished. She broke down in tears when she heard the sad news. After weeks of stress, he finally broke down and admitted he couldn't handle it anymore. Our friendship broke down after years of unresolved conflicts. Their business deal broke down because they couldn't agree on the terms. The negotiations broke down, and the workers decided to go on strike. Use break down to show a sudden or gradual failure, whether it's a machine, a person's emotions, or a process. Now, let's talk about our fourth phrasal verb, bring up. This phrasal verb has a few different meanings. It can mean mentioning a topic in a conversation. It's also used when talking about raising or taking care of a child. And in a more informal sense, bring up can mean to vomit. Bring up is versatile and can have both formal and informal applications. The meaning is typically clear from the context. Let's check some example sentences. She brought up an interesting point during the meeting. I didn't want to bring up his past mistakes, so I stayed silent. Let's not bring up that embarrassing moment again. She was brought up in a small town by her grandparents. They brought up their children to be kind and respectful. It's not easy to bring up a child on your own. He felt sick after eating bad seafood and brought up his dinner. The baby brought up some milk after feeding. She got dizzy on the boat and brought up everything she had eaten. When using bring up in a conversation, ensure the topic aligns with the discussion to avoid sounding abrupt. Finally, let's go over our last phrasal verb for this video, bump into. This phrasal verb has two common meanings. It can mean meeting someone unexpectedly, like when you run into an old friend by chance. It can also refer to accidentally hitting or colliding with something, like bumping into a table or a door. This phrase can also figuratively describe encountering ideas or solutions unexpectedly. Let's check some example sentences. You won't believe who I bumped into at the airport, my childhood neighbour. She bumped into her professor while walking through the park. I always seem to bump into interesting people when I travel. I wasn't paying attention and bumped into the door. He bumped into the table and knocked over a glass of water. Be careful not to bump into the furniture in the dark. Use bump into in informal contexts to describe casual or unexpected interactions or discoveries. To help you practice, here's a quick exercise. Use the words in the box to complete the sentences correctly. Sarah didn't want to argue anymore, so she backed down from the debate. John blew up his boss after receiving unexpected feedback. The washing machine broke down, so we need to call a repairman. During the meeting, Alice brought up the idea of starting a new project. While walking downtown, I bumped into an old classmate. The photograph was blown up to fit the billboard. After hearing the shocking news, she broke down and started crying. The company's plans broke down due to disagreements over the budget. Phrasal verbs like these are essential for fluency in English because they're used so frequently in both formal and informal settings. By understanding their meanings and practicing them in context, you'll improve your comprehension and speaking skills. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.